And welcome back to Sunday Square Off. If you want evidence of a blue wave in the midterm elections, look no further than Arizona's 8th congressional district in the West Valley. Republicans have poured more than $1 million into the special election there. Polls show their candidate, former state legislator Debbie Lesko, may have just a single-digit lead over Democratic newcomer Hiro Tipernini in a district that Donald Trump won by 20 points. So what is going on there? The election is Tuesday. About 60 to 70% of the ballots have already been cast by mail. Paul, you have your finger on the polls. What are the polls telling us and not telling us about this race?
I think that there's a lot of different polls out there using some questionable methodology, push buttons, other things that tend to sort of accentuate the challenges with this race. Everything that I've seen, you know, it's a 20-point Republican advantage out there. It's
in voter registration.
In voter registration, it's even higher in participation. Dems are overperforming in early ballot returns by about 2 percentage points right now, but even then it's still a 19-point Republican lead. I think the lead is smaller than you'd see Donald Trump's lead to be, but I do think there's still a significant advantage for the Republicans.
You think it's in double digits?
I think it's right about 10 right now.
Right about 10. Chad, is 10 a victory for Democrats?
10 would be a victory for Democrats, and I'm going to stick with my prediction I made a few weeks back, and I'm still going to say it's in the 5 to 7 point range. But I think anything 10 or under, I mean anything like 13 or under, is still a huge victory for Democrats, and I think it's indicative of what's coming in November. And if it is in that 10 or below range, I think the Republicans are going to be very scared in this state.
And when you see them spending $1 million or more on this race, when all Trent Franks, the former congressman, had to do was put a sign up, what's that telling you? Are they trying to run up the score? Are they trying to hold on, barely hold on, or something else?
I mean, I would guess, yeah, they're trying to pad that margin and make sure it doesn't get any closer, would be my guess.
I think they're trying to stop the narrative. I mean, you look at the nation's eyes are on us after Alabama, after Virginia. They want it to stop here. It's also a great excuse for both sides, for both the Democrats and the Republicans, to test their turnout methods, to test their grassroots engagement, to test their walking, to go out there, test their victory programs, and see how they're going to work statewide. This is a great opportunity to do it before it gets too hot outside and really see how it's going to work.
So if you're a Republican member of Congress in another Arizona district and you see this deep red district getting a little purplish, should you be worried?
Yes, I think so. And if you're a Republican in the legislature, you should be worried. If you're a Republican running statewide, you should be worried. I mean, the one thing about this district is that this isn't a typical district where Democrats should make up much ground. If you look at the demographics, it's not what's happening in other states. It's not younger millennial type voters. It's not a lot of minority voters.
It's not Connor Lamb in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So if the Dems can make ground, if Tipernini can close that gap pretty significantly in that district, then that means the rest of the state is really up for grabs. So yes, Republicans should be scared.
I want to go quickly to the U.S. Senate race. Several polls out this past week. Paul, quickly though, you talked about push-button polling. What is that?
Well, it's when you call somebody up with an answering machine and you say, if you like so-and-so, vote press 1. If you like so-and-so, press 2. You really don't know who you're talking to. That it's based on what they say, who they are, that you don't necessarily know. It's a significant difference than, say, a live call with an actual operator asking questions.
Okay, so on the Republican side, in that primary, there was one poll showing Martha McSally with a healthy lead, about 8 points. Another poll a few days later showing Kelly Ward with a healthy lead of about 8 points. What should we make of either of those polls?
I mean, I think from day to day, these polls can change. One of them had a 700 sample. The other one had a 300 sample. That makes a difference. One was a subsample of another survey, which makes a difference as well. I think at the end of the day, I mean, at this point right now, the thing we can take away from it is no candidate has really separated themselves, and there's still a long race to go.
And on the Democratic side, it showed Kyrsten Sinema, Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema, in a race against Martha McSally, Kelly Ward, and Joe Arpaio, showing her with hefty leads over all of them, 10 points over McSally. Do you believe that, or do you want to believe that?
Well, both, actually. I mean, I don't think it's a 10-point lead, but I think that Sinema is probably winning that race right now. I think that she's going to win that race. And I think, you know, what's amazing to me is that Congresswoman Sinema is already up with TV ads. And for a Democrat to be running for the U.S. Senate on air in April in Arizona speaks a lot. I think she's going to win that race.
And she's running for the general right now and is doing a good job. She's really navigating where she needs to be, and I would suspect she's up. I mean, if you believe that CD8, which is a heavily conservative district, is closer than it ought to be, you would suspect that statewide that she's definitely in the lead right now. That can close. We haven't seen the money pour in for that race yet. I think that will make a difference, but right now I would suspect she's in the lead.
All right, Paul Benz, Chad Campbell, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.